500,000 to 2 million pesos. That's what you get when you let the greed win. Remember, ARTA is always watching. So don't you dare no to fix it.
The Philippine Good Regulatory Principles, or PGRP, are a set of principles outlining good regulatory practices. Government agencies can align their regulatory processes and activities using the PGRP. We aim to have regulators that are able to create and adopt regulations that do not add undue regulatory burden to the transacting public. The Anti-Red Tape Authority, or ARTA, in accordance with its mandates as prescribed under Republic Act 11032, will promote these principles so that businesses and regulated entities understand what they can expect from regulators. Let's learn the principles together. Principle 1, clarity. Regulators should provide clear rationale, objectives, goals, institutional frameworks, and support mechanisms in the regulations they issue. Principle 2, legal and empirical basis. Regulators should ensure that all regulations come from sound legal and empirical basis which validate new or continuing government intervention. Principle 3, cost versus benefit. Regulators should issue regulations that benefit society, justify costs, reduce unintended effects, and minimize negative impact to the economy, society, and the environment. Meanwhile, in Principle 4, assessment, regulators should assess and consider all policy options, including non-regulatory interventions, through regulatory impact assessment. Principle 5, engagement. Regulators should practice and sustain effective and inclusive stakeholder engagement. Principle 6, coherence. Regulators should align regulations with existing regulations, ensuring consistency and congruence. Then we have Principle 7, whole of government. Regulators across all levels should cooperate, collaborate, and support regulatory capacity development initiatives. Of course, we can't forget Principle 8, continuous evaluation. Regulators should review and evaluate regulations to determine continued relevance, efficiency, and effectiveness. In Principle 9, competition. Regulators must ensure that regulations are compatible with competition and with principles on trade and investment facilitation on both domestic and international levels. Last but not the least, Principle 10, risk management. Regulators should undertake risk management in drafting and implementing regulations. Through these 10 principles, we envision an efficient Philippine government that provides world-class service to the Filipino people. Together, we can create that bright future. For more information, you may visit the ARTA website at arta.gov.ph and download the Philippine Good Regulatory Principles.
Ang bawat ahensya ng pamahalaan may kanya-kanyang tungkulin. Pero paano ba natitiyak na naibibigay nila ang tamang serbisyo sa publiko? May tinatawag na Report Card Survey o RCS ang gobyerno. Panukat ito sa performance ng isang tanggapan alinsunod sa mga serbisyo at karampatang rekisito, gastos, hakbang at haba ng oras ng pagproseso sa Citizens Charter nito. Noon, Civil Service Commission o CSC ang namumuno sa implementasyon ng RCS sa mga ahensya. Pero nang maipasa ang Republic Act 11032 o Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act noong 2018, inilipat na sa Anti-Red Tape Authority o ARTA ang pagpapatupad ng survey. Kaya ngayong RCS 2.0 na, pinasimple at pinalawak ang sakop ng programa na dati limitado lamang sa mga ahensyang madalas ireklamo, matao, may kinalaman sa pagnenegosyo, tinukoy ng CSC at mga piling lokal na pamahalaan. Hindi na lang din frontline services ang sinisilip ng bagong RCS dahil kasama na ngayon ang lahat ng serbisyo ng ahensya sa taong bayan, pati na rin internal services na nakalaan sa mga empleyado nito. At higit sa lahat, magiging bahagi ang RCS 2.0 sa mga batayan sa pagbibigay insentibo sa government offices. Pero paano nga ba ang sistema rito? Una, titingnan ng ARTA ang pagsunod ng ahensya sa mga tungkuling ito sa pamamagitan ng compliance report. Pangalawa, magsasagawa ang ARTA ng survey at inspeksyon na pwedeng gawin online o on-site. Dito na papasok ang mismong RCS. Sa pamamagitan ng survey, nilalayo nitong malaman ang aktwal na karanasan ng publiko sa pakikipagtransaksyon sa ahensya ng gobyerno. At sa inspeksyon naman, matitiyak kung sumusunod ang ahensya sa mandato ng RA 11032. Pasok din sa RCS ang Client Satisfaction Measure o CSM na ipinatutupad ng ahensya para malaman ang pulso ng publiko sa kalidad ng serbisyo nito. At pangatlo, bibigyang grado rin ng iba pang oversight agencies ang mga serbisyo ng ahensya. Pagkatapos, magkakakopya ng resulta ng RCS ang ahensyang sumailalim dito. Kaya magkakaroon ito ng pagkakataong makita ang mga problema sa kanilang mga proseso at mapag-aralan kung paano ito maaaksyonan. Ibig sabihin, garantisadong magiging mas mabuti at dekalidad ang serbisyo sa taong bayan. Dahil ang RCS 2.0 layon na maging responsive, connected at seamless ang pagsisilbi ng gobyerno sa bawat Pilipino. Good afternoon, everyone. A few reminders before we formally begin this program this afternoon. This meeting will be recorded for documentation purposes. So if you want to access the ARTA's privacy policy, you may do so by going to the link provided on your screens. And of course, we have a few house rules to maintain the smooth flow
Recording in
of
progress.
today's program. So here are they. Kindly please include your organization and designation beside your name. For example, ARTA-PDO1 de la Cruz, the microphones of participants shall be muted at all times so that there will be no distractions when one of our principals is presenting. The microphones of participants or the discussions will be moderated to guide the conversation as well. So kindly please use the raise hand button if you have queries or concerns that you would like to raise so that I will be able to acknowledge you accordingly. And you may also use the chat box for your written questions if you don't want to ask verbally. For other concerns or queries, you may send a private message through our chat box and someone from our secretariat will be responding to you. So now let's begin this event with a word of prayer. Let us all put ourselves in the holy presence of the Lord while this song and prayer is being played.
Our Heavenly Father, the fount of all goodness and grace, the cause of wisdom, the source of intelligence, we welcome you, O Lord, to this auspicious gathering of your beloved, who continuously give you thanks for every opportunity to learn something new and become fruitful to the works of your creation. We humbly come to you, not because we are worthy, but because we find ourselves in need of you, who is our strength and our hope, to continue despite the challenges we face in health, prosperity, and our solidarity with one another. We pray that today's gathering, made possible by the grace of advancements in technology and social media, becomes successful in its endeavors, so we can offer it back to you as our humble offering to honor you, glorify you, and love you through our deeper connection with everyone. May we find bliss in today's session and become more productive children and co-creators of the earth. This we ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, telas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tulang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang hindi magtitindig. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng kartay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Once again, good afternoon everyone to all our colleagues in public service and of course friends from the private sector, including the media. I am your host, Ria Fernandez-Subina, the communications head of the Anti-Red Tape Authority. And we welcome you to another activity led by the ARTA this 2022. This is the ceremonial signing of the Joint Memorandum Circular for Local Travel. Everyone, please know that this aims to streamline requirements and processes for travel through the adoption, implementation, and institutionalization of the Paspas and through the integration of relevant information systems in the COVID-19 response network. Bukod po dito, nilalayon din po nitong isulong ang institutionalization sa paggamit ng interoperable contact tracing applications so that we can communicate with one another, removing the need for downloading and registering to different contact tracing applications. So we are pretty sure that all of us are very excited to know more about this new joint memorandum circular by the Philippine government, by some of the agencies of the Philippine government. But before we further delve into the specifics of this new issuance, please be informed that this event is being streamed live on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel, Anti-Red Tape Authority. Our content is also being carried by various affiliates of the Presidential Communications Operations Office or PCOO, and of course Radio Television Malacanang on their Facebook pages. Maraming salamat po RTVM and PCOO for always supporting the undertakings of the Anti-Red Tape Authority. If you also want to get fresh updates straight from the authority, we have a lot of social media platforms where you can get in touch with us. Ayan po, nakikita nyo sa inyong screen. Website, it's www.arta.gov.ph, Facebook, Anti-Red Tape Authority. We have recently launched our TikTok account at Anti-Red Tape Authority, Instagram and Twitter at ARTA.gov.ph. For email, you may email us at info@arta.gov.ph. If you have complaints, we have an email specific for that, and that is complaints@arta.gov.ph. We would also like to take this opportunity to invite everyone to please join our growing ARTA Viber community, official ARTA Viber community, by scanning this QR code that you are now seeing on your screens. Maraming salamat po. And to formally commence today's program, let us listen to ARTA's Deputy Director General for Legal, none other than Undersecretary Eduardo V. Bringas, for the welcome remarks. Yusek Doy.
Secretary Jeremiah Behalika, Director General of the Anti-Red Tape Authority, DOH Secretary Francisco Duque, DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, ARTA Deputy Director General Ernesto Perez, ARTA Deputy Director General Carlos B. Quita, DOTR Undersecretary Antonio Tuazon, DOT OIC USEC Rinaldo Ching, DILG ASEC Odilion Pasaraba, Sir Senior Consultant of the DTR on Road Sector, Sir Alberto Swansing, Sir, Ms. Grace Fernandez of ARTA, Director, Ma'am, Director 4 DOH, Dr. Enrique Tayag, Sir, Regional Director DOST, Engineer Rowena Galonga, Regional Director of DOST Jose Patalinhug III, Director 4 DOT Virgilio Mangidad, and Director 4 DICT Arnold De Castro, Sir, Director 4 DILG Vivian Sonsing, Ma'am, Development Director of CAAP, Captain Dante D. Lankit, Sir. Assistant Director of the DILG, Debbie T. Torres, Ma'am. Philippine Tour Operators Association, or PhilToA, Fe Abling, you, Ma'am. Philippine Travel Agency Association, or PTA Vice President, Ms. Resolen Olivaros, Attorney Omar Sana of the ICT, and Attorney Melvin Mandigo of the Office PG, Rachel Christian Clarete of the Office PG, and to our esteemed guests and everyone who are here today, good day. Thank you for this opportunity to be with you on the ceremonial signing of the JMC for the streamlining requirements and processes for travel through the adoption, implementation, and institutionalization of the SPAS and an interoperable contact tracing application in all local government units and ports, and through the integration of relevant information systems in the COVID-19 response network. Don't be confused. Perhaps the only non-streamlined is the title, but rest assured that this JMC is really in the streamlining of travels requirements and for contact tracing purposes. First, I would like to congratulate the following member agencies who took part in this JMC from the conduct of a technical working group, conferences, stakeholder consultation meetings, to the crafting of this GMC up to its finalization. The Anti-Retributive Authority, the Department of Interior and Local Government, the Department of Transportation, Department of Science and Technology, the Department of Tourism, Department of Health, and the Department of Information and Communications Technology. In welcoming this year, 2022, the Anti-Retributive Authority is filled with eagerness and excitement as we look forward to continue working with you with the renewed vigor and inspiration in achieving milestones by surpassing hardships and challenges together. Indeed, inspired by the Latin phrase ad astra per aspera, we can reach the stars through hard work, breakthroughs from difficulties, and leave our legacy with the President Rodrigo Roa Duterte's campaign against red tape. We as public servants should continue working on the efficiency of the delivery of public service. Under the present emergency situation and during its aftermath, we enjoin everyone to actively participate and contribute to achieve our mandate, which calls for the intensified resolve in the delivery of efficient public service. And with that, I thank you and have a blessed afternoon.
Thank you so much, Undersecretary Eduardo V. Bringas, ARTA's Deputy Director General for Legal. At this juncture, we would like to pass the virtual floor to the Chief of ARTA, of course, no less than Secretary Jeremiah B. Belica, to deliver his keynote speech. Sec. Mai. Sir, Sec. Mai, the floor is now yours. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Ria, for the introduction. Yusek Doy Bringas for the welcome remarks. To our dear Secretary and our Chairman of the IATF, the Secretary of Health, Sec. Francisco Duque III. Sir, it's a pleasure, sir. Thank you for joining us. Also to our very capable and very super secretary, also our Secretary of the OST, Fortunato Boy de la Peña. Again, Sec. Boy, thank you again, sir, for joining us. To all of our colleagues in government, undersecretaries, regional directors, to my friends from the private sector who are in attendance today, magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. A Chinese proverb is commonly quoted saying this: a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But because of this COVID situation, although this proverb has highlighted the importance of starting a journey, however, because of our situation today, this journey normally fails to start. Not only because of the perils of our health situation due to the pandemic, but because of the different underlying permits, requirements, and systems that we are now facing because of the different government offices and local government units doing their best to ensure that the health of the people are never at stake. The right to travel is part of the liberty of which a citizen cannot be deprived without due process of law. It is part and parcel of the guarantee of freedom of movement that our Constitution affords every citizen. This was eloquently explained by the Supreme Court in the case of Genuino versus De Lima. It also highlighted that in our Bill of Rights, it says that the right to travel may be impaired only in the interest of national security, public safety, public health, or as may be provided by law. The right of travel may only be impaired by law that concerns national security, public safety, and public health. This is the high level of security that has been given to each and everyone's right to travel cannot be overstated by our Constitution. But we do not live in ideal situation or ideal times today. We indeed live in a very, very challenging, in a once in a lifetime situation because of this pandemic that really imperils the public health and public safety. But not only because it is rightfully ours that we need to continue to ensure that people, despite in this pandemic, are still able to travel. The science would also bears out that stress of work and daily demands can actually distract us from what we find to be actually meaningful and interesting by going out through different travels. This is actually one of the reasons why mental health during this pandemic is also an issue that people are taking up. Just to share that last week, ARTA also officially launched the pilot implementation of our Unified Logistics Pass. A unified quick response or QR code that will facilitate the unhampered movement of trucks for hire that also deliver basic goods and necessities across the country. As part of our ongoing efforts to provide better services to Filipinos, we are now going to launch the joint memorandum circular on streamlining of requirements of processes for local travel today. In the wake of this pandemic, we have seen a dramatic shift in our daily routines. It changed the way that we work, the way that we conduct our business, the way that we go about our daily lives, and even the way that we go about our leisure activities, primary of which is travel and tourism. Traveling is said to have a variety of beneficial effects on people's mental health. It is said to be a way of relieving stress. It also boosts happiness and satisfaction while also making us healthier and being able to give a wonderful bonding time for the family. However, since the emergence of COVID-19, many of the people have preferred to stay at home rather than to risk themselves by traveling in the different parts of our country. One of the areas that has been greatly affected is tourism. In the Philippines, tourism's contribution to the country's gross domestic product in 2019 is at 12.8%. But with the weak travel demand due to the pandemic, it fell to a measly 5.4% in 2020. This is not only exclusive to the Philippines, but this is also applicable across the different countries of the world. Aside from the immediate priority of mitigating the effects of the pandemic, the government is now establishing a new normal for the tourism industry as well. Hence, we are providing a service that would help reboot our tourism and travel industry in the Philippines, provide employment at the same time, and of course, encourage a safe, swift, and a smart travel experience for every Filipinos and everyone who is within our territories. What is in it for our countrymen through this joint memorandum circular? It will now be easier for them or for each and everyone to apply for travel permits as the requirements among the different LGUs will also be streamlined and harmonized with each other. Hindi na po sa makatuwid dapat mahirapan ang ating pong mga kababayan na magbigay ng iba't ibang mga rekwisitos kada bayan at kada lungsod na madaraanan. Halimbawa na lamang po ang naranasan po ng Mang Jose noong kamakailan. Kinakailangan po niya na umuwi sa kanya pong probinsya, kaya lulan ho ng pampasaherong bus ay kinakailangan po niyang dumaan sa isang lalawigan bago makarating sa kanyang bayan. Hinanapan po siya lamang ng resulta ng kanyang RT-PCR at acceptance letter sa kanyang barangay na kanya pong pupuntahan. Subalit nung siya po'y pauwi, na siya po'y nag-iba ng kanyang ruta na daraanan at dumaan po siya sa kabilang lalawigan ay laking gulat po niya na lamang na siya naman po ay hinahanapan ng iba pong mga requisitos katulad ng vaccination card at iba po pong mga requirements that is exclusive in that jurisdiction and in that LGU. Another example ay ang naranasan po ni Aling Desa at Aling Mary na pumunta po sa kanilang mga probinsya upang makasama ang kanilang pong mga kapamilya noong Kapaskuhan. At kinakailangan po nilang mag-register at mag-download ng kanilang QR code lamang. Now it is clear that this JMC actually intends to streamline the process of local travel by ensuring that all LGUs are now enrolled in our Paspas, and we need to strictly enforce the same. Problems with varying requirements imposed on our travelers when simply passing through the LGU shall also be resolved by only requiring travelers to comply with the requirements of the point of destination LGU. Contact tracing will also be easier because all applications are also interoperable. Further streamlining will be accomplished through the interconnection of various systems and also by making it easy and faster to secure the requirements for the travel permit. With this, ang ating pong Mang Jose will no longer need to provide different requirements for different LGUs or provinces. It would also be as swift and safe as the experience of Aling Desa and Aling Mary. Ang lahat po ng ating pong mga ginagawa ay para po sa ating mga Pilipino na patuloy po nating kasamang laban dito po sa dagok ng dilubyong pandemya na ito. Ang aming pong ahensya, ang Anti-Red Tape Authority, will continue to work and improve the efficiency of government services while also making it easier for the people to access and to help the government to make it better for us in this new normal. We are inspired by the once-in-a-lifetime, by our once-in-a-lifetime leader, our dear President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, was always instructed us in government to ensure to make the lives of the people more comfortable and more easy. Muli po, ang trend po ng reforma laban po sa red tape ay pabilis na ng pabilis. At ang sino man pong humarang sa ating pong trend na sabay-sabay po nating sinasakyan ay siya pong masasagasaan. Marami pong salamat sa lahat po ng tumulong. Congratulations to all our government agencies. And again, stay safe and God bless us all.
Thank you so much, Secretary Jeremiah B. Belica, the Director General of the Anti-Red Tape Authority, for that very practical speech detailing the practical application of this new JMC. You know, even if ARTA is tasked to lead the national government's anti-red tape and ease of doing business policy, it is well aware of its limitations, which have opened its eyes to the advantages of looping in other government agencies to be able to meet its objectives. That is the reason why it has been advocating for a whole of government approach in providing solutions to policy problems or gaps. And for this particular JMC on local travel, ARTA has worked with a number of agencies who are with us here today, and we are really fortunate that a lot of them will be delivering their messages live. Let's start with the Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology, Secretary Fortunato de la Peña. Sec, the virtual floor is now yours for your message.
Warmest greetings to everyone, and special greetings to our IATF Chair, Sec Pinkoy Duque, to DG Belica, and to all the other officials and co-workers present here today. The Department of Science and Technology promotes the critical role of science, technology, and innovation in making relevant, timely, and sound decision-making for the benefit of Filipinos. Streamlining requirements and processes for local travel through the adoption, implementation, and institutionalization of the Paspas and an interoperable contact tracing application in all local government units and ports, and through the integration of relevant information systems in the COVID-19 response network is a timely policy that will ease travel processes, open the economy, and monitor relevant information about our travelers, which will help decision makers in the war against the pandemic. The utilization of technologies such as the SPAS and interoperable contact tracing applications will help authorities manage the spread of COVID-19 more efficiently than the manual systems. I am pleased to report that as of today, there are already 6.2 million registered users of SPAS, 5.7 million travel coordination permits applications were received already. That 91% of the local government units, numbering 110, these are 75 provincial LGUs and 35 highly urbanized cities have already activated their SPAS accounts, and that the 10 regions in the country have already 100% SPAS activation of its local government units. And we are now in an ongoing interoperability activities with the One Health Pass and the Box Cert PH. So we are very hopeful that with all our acts together, we can have a safer community. We thank ARTA for all these initiatives. So let us support their initiatives and together, let us travel safely. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Maraming salamat po sa mensahe, Secretary Fortunato de la Peña of the Department of Science and Technology. Next official to deliver his message live is, of course, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III. Sec Duque?
Okay, thank you very much. To our Director General of the Anti-Red Tape Authority, dear friend, Sec Mai Belgica, DOST Sec Boy de la Peña, DOTR USEC Ochi Tuazon, DOT ASEC Ray Ching, DILG ASEC Odilon Pasaraba, DICT Attorney Omar Sana, USEC Ed Bringas, the DDG of ARTA, our USECs and ASECs, Central Office, as well as regional and bureau directors, fellow public servants, healthy afternoon to all of you. 22 months in, or almost 2 years of grappling with the health and economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen the importance of essential movement, both domestically and internationally. We have recognized the crucial line in continuing mobility to help everyone recover. Furthermore, our initiatives to resume movements underscore the significance of completely adhering to minimum public health standards and protective health safety protocols. The tourism industry is one of the sectors of society severely hit by lockdown and quarantine measures. We have seen how this reality has affected many lives and livelihoods. Now that we are gradually reopening our economy, it is indeed important that while we resume tourism in the country for our economy to bounce back, we do not let our health and safety run neglected. It is in this light that initiatives such as Safe, Swift, and Smart Passage, or SPAS, under the Tourism Response and Recovery Plan of the Department of Tourism serves as a timely measure needed in aid of the public as it ensures safe and sound travel in and around the Philippines. The varying requirements imposed by local government units have brought about much confusion to the public. And while it is true that travel requirements are dependent on an area's COVID-19 situation, it is paramount that a standard document is followed as a blueprint. Hence, I applaud this initiative of creating a unified and standardized system that covers health and safety protocols, local travel restrictions, documentary requirements, and contact tracing. I, for one, am a very strong advocate for ease of doing business and doing away with unnecessary bureaucratic red tape ever since I became a public servant. It gives me deep excitement to see how the SPAS, Stay Safe PH, Vaxcert PH, COVID Document Repository System, the Trace app, and One Health Pass would work hand in hand in improving our travel and contact tracing system between and among local government units. The whole of government approach will be our guide in streamlining our travel processes in all LGUs. Further, such actions will help unify the agencies in observing smooth and safe tourism activities, helping micro, small, and medium enterprises, and boosting the local tourism economy, all while ensuring that the health and safety of everyone are given utmost importance. I congratulate my colleagues from the Anti-Red Tape Authority, the Department of Interior and Local Government, the Department of Science and Technology, the Department of Information and Communications Technology, the Department of Tourism, and the Department of Transportation for another milestone in our response to curb the COVID-19 pandemic. May this initiative redound to better health outcomes and a more sustainable economy for everyone and Juana. Once again, in behalf of the Department of Health and the Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases, our warmest congratulations. And mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you so much, Secretary Francisco Duque III of the Department of Health. And last but definitely not the least, to deliver the message of their agency live is Undersecretary Artemio U. Tuazon of the Department of Transportation. Yusek Tuazon.
Thank you. Magandang hapon po kay Secretary Francisco Duque, Secretary de la Peña, Secretary May Belica, sa lahat po ng kasama natin sa government service. Kung mamarapati niyo po ay gusto ko pong ibasahin ang mensahe ni Secretary ARTA patungkol po dito sa ating launching ng SPAS at Joint Memorandum Circular. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Today's signing of the Joint Memorandum Circular proves that science, technology, and innovation play an integral part in our fight against COVID-19. The Unified SPAS and Contact Tracing Application is a collaborative policy among national government agencies and local government units as a response to systematically monitor the COVID-19 situation in the country and promote safe travel while ensuring a prudent transition towards an equitable, sustainable, and resilient future. Ngayong tayo ay nakakaranas ng pagtaas ng kaso ng COVID-19, ang pamamarang ito ay magsisiguro na lahat ng Pilipinong naglalakbay ay ligtas. The Department of Transportation is fully supportive of the institutionalization of the SPAS system as an online travel management system where Filipinos can look at the travel policies, requirements, and restrictions of one's desired local government of destination. By promoting the usage of the SPAS, it enables a streamlined, established, and unified system for requirements and processes for local travel. While the SPAS system makes traveling to various localities more efficient and convenient, the online travel management system also ensures real-time monitoring of travelers, making contact tracing swift and structured. With this mechanism, traveler confidence will be restored as people-to-people interactions are limited, a simple measure to stem the spread of the virus. Looking ahead, the system put in place will shape the country's way of travel in the future. This mechanism promotes structural transformation as we stay ahead of the digital curve, considering the long-term implications of the pandemic. In this way, we are putting particular attention to the most vulnerable destinations during the country's tourism and economic recovery phase. The COVID-19 pandemic may have reshaped our health and well-being, social welfare, and global economy, but we have also learned to adapt by relying and supporting one another and sharing our resources. Reopening and rebuilding the country's destinations require a joined-up and coordinated approach. The national government and local government units should continue to reinforce coordination mechanisms to guide every sector to successfully recover. The tremendous power of our collaborative effort is an effective tool to fight and emerge victorious against the COVID-19 pandemic. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Undersecretary Ochi Tuazon, who have just delivered the message of Secretary Artu Gade of the Department of Transportation. Maraming salamat po, secretaries and undersecretary. Now we have come to the much awaited part of the program, which is the ceremonial signing of the JMC. So may we please request everyone to direct your attention to the screen and watch this ceremonial signing video. Once again, you are seeing the ceremonial signing video of the member agencies, the signatories of the JMC on local travel, starting with ARTA Secretary Jeremiah B. Belhica, of course, Secretary Eduardo Año of DILG, next is Secretary Fortunato de la Peña of DOST, signing the JMC on local travel. Of course, Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat of the Department of Tourism or DOT. Secretary Francisco Duque of the Department of Health, signing the JMC. Secretary Manica Intic of DICD. Yusek Tuazon, of course, on behalf of Secretary Artu Gade of the Department of Transportation. And there you have it, full force na full force. Ang karamihan sa mga miyembro ng gabinete ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte in signing this new joint memorandum circular, which is JMC Travel Number 1, Series of 2022, Streamlining of Requirements and Processes for Local Travel. Palakpakan po natin ang ating mga sarili. Congratulations, ARTA, DILG, DICT, DOT, DOH, DOST, and of course, DOTR for another historic event. Maraming salamat po and congratulations. And of course, to immortalize this historic occasion in Philippine government under the leadership of President Duterte. Yes, sirs, magkakaroon po muna tayo ng photo opportunity to be facilitated by Mr. Marco Montenegro, the Assistant Division Chief of CMEO-C. Sir Marco?
Good afternoon, everyone. So, may we request the Secretariat to please stop share po muna, and may request all
Montenegro, the Assistant Division Chief of SIMAOC. And again, congratulations to all our principals, to all the member agencies who took in the time and effort to be able to produce yet another historic document that will be really helpful to all our countrymen. So maraming salamat po. And meron po tayong mga kalihim na nagpaabot din po ng kanilang mga mensahe even if they are not with us physically. So first is Secretary Eduardo M. Año of the Department of the Interior and Local Government. Please watch this.
Good day. I am grateful and honored to be with you all as the Department of the Interior and Local Government reaffirms its commitment with other national government agencies in establishing clear-cut guidelines and streamlining requirements and processes for travel across the nation. This is as we sustain our heartfelt strivings in getting back on the road to every phase of recovery and resilience, even in the face of a recent surge seen without any sign of slowing down. Sa patuloy na paglobo ng mga kaso ng COVID-19 sa nagdaang mga araw, kasabay ng mga hakbang sa pagpigil ng pagdami ng mga naitatalang nagkakasakit, ang pagsisiguro natin hindi na muling lubhang maapektuhan ang ating ekonomiya. Dahil dito, sinisikap ng buong pamahalaan na unti-unting buksan ang ating ekonomiya, turismo, at iba pang negosyo sa pamamagitan ng mas maluwag ngunit maingat na pagbiyahe. Kaya naman napakahalaga na pagtibayin at pagkaisahin ang ating mga hakbang tungo sa mas malayong paglalakbay bilang tulong sa ating ekonomiya na makabangon sa gitna ng mga epekto ng pandaigdigang pandemya. At ito ay sa pamamagitan ng paglagda sa kasunduang aalalay sa atin tungo sa mas mahusay na pagtupad ng kani-kaniyang mandato ng bawat ahensya. In such respect, I must thank the Department of Science and Technology, the Anti-Red Tape Authority, Department of Tourism, Department of Health, Department of Transportation, Department of Information and Communications Technology, as well as the League of Local Governments for clinching this deal to ensure everyone's safety and the economy's continued recovery. Part of this agreement is the institutionalization of the SPAS and an interoperable contact tracing application in our local government units and ports. We will also endeavor to integrate relevant information systems in the COVID-19 response network to better aid in such pursuits. These guidelines being signed jointly by the NGAs and other institutions will unite and standardize the varying systems applied by LGUs when it comes to health and safety protocols, travel restrictions, documentary requirements, contact tracing, among others. Unifying such through this JMC will allow LGUs to be working on an integrated environment and system and prevent inconveniences experienced by our travelers. As contact tracing proves to be a pivotal armor in cutting down the contagion, LGUs are now able to effectively trace patients possibly infected with the virus through the application of the interoperable contact tracing application. Sa parang ito, mas matibay at madali na ang koordinasyon ng bawat LGU sa pag-trace ng mga positibo sa COVID at kaagad nila itong maabisuhan na mag-isolate. Lahat ng mga ito ay makakatulong upang mabilis na maampat ang pagkalat ng virus, lalo na sa panahong naharap tayo sa mas malalang pagdami ng kaso. With the help of agencies which signify their commitment today, I trust that the DILG will be able to work closely and collaboratively in realizing the directives and responsibilities laid down to us by this Memorandum Circular. We pledge to ensure that all LGUs will work in synchrony with us and to adopt the use of SPAS and the interoperable city application. The department likewise is more than willing to extend assistance to the DOST to fully implement such systems by conducting rollout and trainings on the ground. and by working with the leads of local governments, we can be assured that the public will be informed of this initiative whenever they travel locally. At dahil malaki ang gagampan ng papel ng mga LGU sa kasunduan ito, sisiguruhin ang kagawaran na magiging handa at may sapat silang kaalaman sa pagpapatupad nito. Maglalabas po tayo ng mga panuntunan upang maalalayan ang mga tauhan ng DILG regional offices at mga LGUs. Makakatulong din po ang pagtatalaga ng regional focal person upang masiguro ang mas maayos na komunikasyon at mahusay na implementasyon ng mga probisyong nakapaloob sa JMC na ito. Truly, our partnership today will surely pave a systematic and standardized mechanism in this continuing battle against COVID-19. Along with the optimism that this will yield productive results in the long run, is the assurance that we will do all our parts as we stand down on the COVID-19 infections while balancing this with our measures for economic recovery. Once again, thank you very much for your unplugging support and unity. May we stay safe and healthy. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.
That was Secretary Eduardo Año. Before we proceed to the video message of the next signatory, we have a very quick request lang po sa ating mga members of the cabinet. Sir, secretaries, and of course, Yusek Tuazon, kindly please join. We will be spotlighting you for a very, very quick photo opportunity with ARTA Secretary Jeremiah Bellica. Kindly please open your videos. I'll be mentioning your name, sirs. Of course, Secretary Jeremiah Bellica, Secretary Francisco Duque III, Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, Yusek Artemio Tuazon, Sir Virgilio Magigad, Arnold De Castro, or Attorney Omar San of the ICT, and I think this is Captain Dante D. Langkit. And of course, our undersecretaries at the Anti-Red Tape Authority, Yusek Doy, Yusek Nes, and Yusek Kita. Kindly please open your videos. You will be spotlighted for a photo opportunity. Sir Marco, kindly please do the honor once again. And Asek Ching of DOT, sir, kindly please open your video. And Asek Pasaraba. Again, Asek Ching and Asek Pasaraba, kindly please open your videos as well to join our cabinet secretaries and all our other officials in this special photo opportunity. Sir Marco, kindly please give us the cue.
Yes po, waiting lang po for Asek Pasaraba to open his camera po.
Again, Asek Pasaraba, kindly please open your video to join this special photo opportunity with our principals.
Okay. I'll take po muna while waiting the first picture. So one big smile po. 1, 2, 3. And one more for safety. 1, 2, 3. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, sirs, for gracing our very quick special request. Now, going back to our video messages, next video that you will be seeing is a video message from Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat of the Department of Tourism.
Good day, my fellow workers in government. I hope you are all safe and healthy amidst the current wave that we are facing. Today, we reach another important milestone in our journey to recovery as we sign this joint memorandum circular on streamlining local travel. Several months after the initial outbreak and closure of tourism, several local government units have begun reopening destinations safely and gradually, ensuring that the places are ready to receive visitors without affecting the well-being of local communities. Each local government unit had their own requirements for entry and often their own platform for registering and monitoring visitors. As more and more destinations began accepting travelers and domestic travel started picking up, it became difficult for people to keep track of varying entry protocols, download different apps, and manage their documents. This is even more so now with the need to present official and recognized proof of vaccination. We thus welcome the nationwide adoption of the Paspas platform, which will work in integration with the local travel management systems presently being used. As the economy reopens, we want to make mobility and travel accessible and convenient for everyone, not frustrating and cumbersome. We commend the DOST, led by Secretary Boy de la Peña, for developing this one-stop shop solution that will transform the experience of domestic travel to one that is safe, swift, and smart. We look forward to the widespread implementation of this unified system and the benefits they will bring to both travelers and receiving LGUs as we move forward in the era of new normal travel. Thank you and mabuhay po kayong lahat.
That was Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat of the Department of Tourism. And another signatory, co-signatory in the JMC to who will we be witnessing is Secretary Emmanuel Rey Arca Intic from the Department of Information and Communications Technology or the ICT.
To my colleagues in public service who are present today, partners in this initiative, ARTA Director General Secretary Jeremiah Bellica, DILG Secretary Eduardo Año, THSUD Secretary Eduardo Del Rosario, DOTR Secretary Arthur Tugade, DOH Secretary Francisco Duque, DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, DOT Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. The pandemic has definitely changed the way we live our lives. As public servants, we are tasked with the responsibility of rendering full assistance and cooperation in mobilizing the necessary resources to manage COVID-19. One of these actions is to address the urgent need of helping the public navigate the new normal of traveling and reviving the vitality of the tourism industry. With the signing of this joint memorandum circular, we hope to streamline the processes and requirements for domestic and local travel to ensure safer services by further preventing the spread of the virus. With this JMC, we aim to provide better public access to relevant information and communication for the travel needs of our kababayans by integrating COVID-19 health and safety protocols, contact tracing systems, and local travel restrictions and documentary requirements. Sa tulong ng Safe, Swift, and Smart Passage o SAFE or SPAS Travel Management System, mas mapapadali ang pagbiyahe sa ating mga kababayan at mas madali para sa mga LGUs ang pag-monitor at coordinate ng mga datos ng ating mga local travelers. Now more than ever, we see the importance of this initiative, especially since there's a spike in the number of COVID-19 cases. I would like to take this opportunity to express my deep gratitude to our partners in the realization of this JMC. This streamlining initiative is only possible because of our tireless collaboration and dedication to serving the nation. We hope that this participation will create a positive impact in our collaborative and collective efforts to drive digital transformation in the new normal. We also urge our kababayans to support the government's initiatives that resolve the challenges we face in this pandemic. We in the DICT express our full support in this initiative and we affirm our commitment to do our part in the successful implementation of this JMC. For Digital Philippines in the new normal, thank you and stay safe, everyone.
That was Secretary Emmanuel Rey Caintic of DICT. Of course, this JMC is a product of several consultations from various stakeholders. So we are also privileged to be having their video messages. Some of them have sent their video messages for this particular event, starting with Governor Daquilo Carlo E. Cua, the President of the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, or ULAP.
To our ARTA Director General Jeremiah Bellica, DILG Secretary Ed Año, Tourism Secretary Ma'am Berna Romulo Puyat, to Yusek Epidensing, Yusek Perez, and Yusek Bringas, to my fellow local chief executives and colleagues in local government service, to all participants on this online event, a pleasant afternoon to all of us. On behalf of the National Executive Board, representing the member leagues of the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines, I am Dax Kua, and together we would all like to congratulate the ARTA, together with the DILG, DOH, DOT, DOTR, DOST, and the DICT, who are the signatory agencies to this joint memorandum circular, for finally coming up with a crucial guidance towards streamlining the requirements and processes for local travel. It is indeed no small task to put coordinative mechanisms in place to protect varying contexts of response on the ground. Local government units stand squarely with the national leadership in addressing this health crisis that has affected the economy for the past 2 years. And in the spirit of bayanihan and given a whole-of-government approach, your ULAP gives its full support behind this JMC in order to give a collective, unified response to a common concern that affects all sectors and all Filipinos. At the subnational government level, we know very well that the importance of ensuring unhampered mobility across borders. It is the primary driver for economic growth and job creation. We also understand that while we are bound to protect our constituents within our territories and communities amid the pandemic by observing interzonal restrictions, we too must allow the free movement of goods, services, and people if we are to secure the continuity of supply and value chains as economic imperatives during these trying times. There are two industries most affected by the quarantine measures, which are tourism and transportation. In the We Recover as One report in 2019, NEDA noted that tourism, which was a 2.2 trillion peso industry in 2018, representing a national contribution of 12.7% of our nation's GDP, actually provided 5.4 million jobs for Filipinos. But during the first 60 days of the quarantine lockdown alone, initial losses were estimated to amount to about 60 billion pesos nationwide, with the most intense impact on the Central Visayas at 15.2%, or equivalent to 9.14 billion revenue losses. In Calabarzon, at 14.3%, approximately 8.6 billion pesos in losses. And in the Bicol region, at 11.4%, approximating 7 billion pesos. Today, preliminary data from the first half of 2021 show a bleak picture, and this JMC and the multi-stakeholder initiative are very important to stimulate the economy to be back on its shape. Hence, given the meeting of hearts and minds of all concerned, your ULAP will endeavor to extend its fullest support to the program rollout, even as we serve to resonate the local government perspective and assist towards introducing necessary adjustments on the ground. We believe that coming together is a good beginning, and staying together is by all means an undeniable proof of progress, but it is by working together and staying together behind this common cause of improving domestic travel that we would have achieved a phenomenal success. So muli po, maraming salamat po sa pakikiisa at mabuhay po tayong lahat. God bless po.
That was Governor Dakila Carlo Dax Ikua, the president of ULAP, sending us the perspective of the local government sector. Of course, we also have some of our partners from the private sector who will be delivering their speeches live, starting with President Fe Abling Yu of the Philippine Tour Operators Association. Ma'am Fe? Ma'am, the virtual floor is now yours. You can now deliver your message. Ma'am Fe? Anyway, we will go back to President Fe Abling-Yu of the Philippine Tour Operators Association. At the meantime, may we hear from the Vice President of the Philippine Travel Agencies Association, VP Roselen L. Oliveros.
Good afternoon, everyone. To our Honorable DOT Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puya, DOH Secretary Francisco Duque, and to all our honorable guests present today, good afternoon. I am very honored and I would like to thank ARTA for inviting Philippine Travel Agencies Association to be part of this momentous ceremonial signing event. The easing of the travel requirements in the time of COVID-19 pandemic would be of great help to all of us in the travel industry, especially in the tourism recovery. PTAA will support and adhere to all the initiatives that be of great help in the recovery of our sector. Let us continue working together, not only for the betterment of the tourism sector, but for the whole industry in order that our businesses will be back in place again. Muli, maraming salamat po. Mabuhay po tayong lahat and congratulations to all.
Thank you, VP Roselen L. Oliveros of the Philippine Travel Agencies Association. We'll try again to call President Fe Abling-Yu of the Philippine Tour Operators Association. Ma'am, are you here na po? The virtual floor is now yours for your live message. Ma'am? Probably Miss Fe Abling-Yu is encountering a technical difficulty. So now, thank you so much po sa lahat ng mga opisyal natin na nagpabot ng kanilang mga mensahe patungkol nga dito sa Joint Memorandum Circular para sa local travel. And at this juncture, we are pretty sure that a lot of you are interested to know more about this new document, this new policy. And we are very fortunate that no less than our Undersecretary for Operations, USEC Ernesto V. Perez, will be presenting to us the salient features of this JMC Travel #1 series of 2022. USEC Nes?
Thank you, Ria. On behalf of the Anti-Retive Authority, officers and staff, it is my honor and privilege to present to you, share with you the salient features of the JMC. All in all, the authority was able to spearhead 9 consultation meetings and attend 2 IATF sub-technical working group on local travel meetings. The initiative actually started last March 16, 2021, upon complaints by private stakeholders regarding the repetitive and differing requirements of the LGUs. On a personal note, based on my experience, February 12, 2021 was a significant date for me because not only was I celebrating that day, but also it was the first time that our family would be having its first out-of-town trip since the start of the pandemic in March of 2020. So we were excited. We submitted all the travel requirements of the LGU of our destination. We submitted it online, and upon arrival, we were still required to submit the hard copies of the documents we submitted online, and also we paid travel fees. So additional requirement, unnecessary requirement actually. Upon arrival at the hotel, we were not only ready to submit our RT-PCR test, but we were also required to undertake an antigen test at the time. So additional cost again. Actually, I tried to protest, but I tried to call the local tourism office, which the hotel said it was in compliance with the requirement. But after several attempts, nobody from the local tourism office was answering. So it was actually red tape, which I experienced personally. Not only that, on the same day, I received a call from a good friend of mine from the DTI, former Assistant Secretary Art Bongcato, and also former Undersecretary of the Tourism, Art Bungkat, where he shared with us his experience in the private sector, where whenever he traveled to his point of destination, he was required to submit all requirements and to take travel passes required by every LGU along the way. So hearing that from Art Bungkato, right after going back to the office, I organized and I asked our Compliance Monitoring and Evaluation Office, which was under my direct supervision, to initiate a meeting so that on March 16, 2021, or about a month after that experience, we had our first meeting with the DILG and the Department of Tourism. But as we progressed, we were able to meet and add in the list the ICT, the Department of Science and Technology, the DOTR, the Department of Health, and the leagues of local governments, as well as private stakeholders from the tourism industry. We are also excited to know that the DOST has developed a pass, the Safe Pass, S-Pass, and also other passes being implemented by other government agencies. Particularly, not only the S-Pass, but also the Stay Safe PH, the COVID Documentary Repository System, or the CDRS, and the Trace App, and the One Health Pass. So after several meetings, the authority was invited to attend the meeting of the IATF Sub-Technical Working Group on Local Travel headed by Undersecretary Pimako Densing of the DLG, where we were asked to present the draft JMC, which was also the subject of several consultation meetings we were having with the government agencies concerned. So here is the overview of the salient points of the JMC, which we'll briefly go through with them one by one. The title of the JMC is Streamlining Requirements and Processes for Travel through the Adoption, Implementation, and Institutionalization of the S-Pass and an interoperable contact tracing application in all local government units and ports, and through the integration of relevant information system in the COVID-19 response network, or the streamlining of requirements and processes for local travel. And the main objectives of the JMC are to mandate all local government units and all ports of entry and exit to adopt and institutionalize the use of the S-Pass developed by our DOST and an interoperable contact tracing application in their respective territorial jurisdictions. Also to integrate existing LGU and private-run travel monitoring system to the S-Pass. As we all know, every LGU has its own separate travel pass. And the intention of this JMC is to integrate all of these travel passes into a unified S-Pass, where LGU, which has either an existing S-Pass, will have to integrate into the system. And for those not having its own travel pass, to adopt the S-Pass subject of this JMC. Also, one of the objectives is to streamline the requirements and processes for domestic travel or local travel through the integration and interconnection of relevant information systems in the COVID-19 response network, such as but not limited to the S-Pass developed by DOST, Stay Safe PH, Boxert PH, COVID Document Repository System or CDRS, and the Trace App and the One Health Pass. The JMC shall create an oversight committee which will ensure the compliance of all LGUs and covered agencies and personnel to the JMC, as well as to recommend policies to further improve the state of local travel in the Philippines. They shall facilitate the data sharing agreements among those agencies whose systems and processes will be streamlined and interconnected or integrated. The membership of the Oversight Committee and the signatories to the JMC are as follows: the DLG as the chairperson, the ARTA as co-chairperson, the DICT, the DOST, the Department of Tourism, the DOTR, Department of Transportation, and the Department of Health. So, the salient points or the setting up includes also the setting up of the traveler help desk or the local travel help desk. All LGUs are mandated to set up a local or travel help desk to assist their constituents who don't have the resources to apply on their own, as well as answer all the queries and concern regarding travel protocols, requirements, and other information relative thereto. LGUs shall likewise ensure that they have a working local hotline, preferably a cell phone number that may be used by travelers to contact the LGU. The salient points slide also will show you that the JMC, pursuant to IATF Resolution Number 101S, Series of 2021, it will institutionalize the SPAS Travel Management System of DOST as the one-stop shop application for travelers. In relation to this, LGUs are mandated to institutionalize and use the SPAS to facilitate travel to areas within their jurisdiction. Further, all LGUs are required to provide all the requirements for the issuance of a travel pass or permit in the SPAS. They shall also make available and regularly update information regarding their travel restriction in SPAS, including their contact information. All LGUs are also reminded that requirements for the travel pass or permit provided in the SPAS must be compliant with the minimum requirements mandated by the IATF, and that no requirement other than those provided in the SPAS are imposed or requested or required from travelers. This is also in compliance with the requirements of Republic Act 11032, or the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Delivery of Government Services Law, which ARTA is implementing. The point of destination requirements also provide that all pass-through IDs generated by the SPAS, upon compliance with the travel requirements of the LGU that has jurisdiction over the point of destination, will be honored by LGUs where the applicant or traveler will be passing through on the way to the point of destination. Basic to this requirement is that only the requirements of the LGUs that has jurisdiction over the final point of destination shall be complied with by the applicant or traveler. The traveler shall not be required to comply with the requirements of the LGUs that the traveler will merely pass through, provided that the pass-through covers only short periods or short stay for purposes of stopover or layover that do not exceed an 8-hour period or less. Now, the next slide will show that in line with this, all LGUs shall receive and process applications through the SPAS within 24 hours. LGUs are mandated to act on the applications submitted through the SPAS every day of the week, including weekends. In case of failure by the LGU to process or approve or disapprove the application for travel pass permit within that 24-hour period, the application shall be deemed approved, provided that the applicant has submitted all the required documents as indicated in the SPAS. Applicants whose applications are automatically approved by the system may already proceed to their LGU of destination. But the next slide will show that in the setting up of an SPAS checkpoints in all ports of entry, all terminals, ports, and airports are mandated to check for approved SPAS travel permit from passengers going through the other places using the SPAS QR scanners for authorities. Likewise, they shall establish at least 2 scan points per terminal, seaport, and airport, 1 for inbound and 1 for outbound travelers. The institutionalization of an interoperable contact tracing application here shows that another system to be institutionalized is the interoperable contact tracing application. In this regard, you will see that here is the institutionalization of an interoperable contact tracing application. So pursuant to IATF resolution number 116 series of 2021, the DICT, the DOH, and the DILG shall issue a joint administrative order that shall facilitate the interoperation of all existing contact tracing application with one another. In line with this, LGUs, government offices, and private establishments that are maintaining their own unique COVID-19 contact tracing application shall ensure that the same is interoperable with all the other contact tracing application. LGUs without any existing contact tracing application are directed to use the staysafe.ph in their area of jurisdiction, pursuant to DILG Memorandum number 2021-075. In this regard, LGUs shall issue an ordinance encouraging their constituents as well as all government offices and private establishments within their area of jurisdiction to further utilize the modules of the staysafe.ph. On the interconnection of different information systems in the COVID-19 response network, the JMC shall ensure the seamless domestic or local travel. All implemented information systems in the COVID-19 response network for contact tracing and the issuance of necessary permits or certifications required for travel, such as but not limited to the SPAS, staysafe.ph, backcert.ph, COVID document repository system or CDRS, a trace up, and one health pass shall be made interconnected and or interoperable. Subject to prevailing IATF regulations or resolutions, agencies which are system owners of the foregoing system shall streamline processes to connect domestic or local travel protocols and procedures encompassing travel protocols implemented by national government agencies and LGUs. The Oversight Committee on Local Travel will ensure that further meetings and policies regarding the interconnection and integration will be realized and be implemented efficiently. Before I end, let me highlight that this SPAS requirement, Unified SPAS, will only be effective during the pandemic period. That's why the JMC provides for a sunset provision where it says that this Unified SPAS will be effective only during the period of the COVID-19 pandemic or during the emergency period. And once it ends or the emergency period ends, then the Unified SPAS will automatically cease to exist or will become effective. Before I end my presentation, let me thank especially not only the agencies here concerned for signing the JMC, but also our private stakeholders for joining us in all the 11 meetings that we conducted, which resulted in the drafting and signing and the JMC. But certainly not the least, let me also thank the brave men and women of the Anti-Red Tape Authority who have been working with us behind the scenes. The Compliance Monitoring and Evaluation Office, led by Director Alice Fernandez, the focal person of the CEMEO here, Mr. Marco Montenegro, the Division Chief Attorney Dim Stolas, and also the lawyer who has been helping us finalize the JMC, Attorney Alex Martirez, and all the other support staff of the Anti-Red Tape Authority from the Better Regulations Office, all under the Operations Group Anti-Red Tape Authority. Let me thank special and appreciation for joining us in this initiative. Finally, a dream come true for all of us, the signing of the JMC. But this initiative will not end with the signing of the JMC. The greater challenge will be the implementation of the JMC. And we shall be working closely, not only with the agencies concerned, but also with the private stakeholders who will be joining us, ensuring that this JMC will be put into effect, ensuring seamless travel for local travelers, not only for Filipinos, but also foreigners who will be traveling, ensuring that proper health protocols are ensured, but also ensuring that as much as possible, their travel will be as efficient and as seamless as possible, subject of course to the required observance of safety and health protocols. So maraming salamat po for this opportunity of presenting to you the salient features of the JMC. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Undersecretary Ernesto V. Perez, Deputy Director General for Operations of the Anti-Red Tape Authority. Yusek Perez have presented a very comprehensive presentation of the salient features of the JMC, but we would also like to open a few minutes to all the others who would like to raise follow-up questions. This is the best time to ask them. May I call on, of course, Yusek Perez to join the open forum, Secretary Belgica, and some of our partners from other government agencies, Dr. Enrique A. Tayag of Department of Health, Director Rowen G. R. Gelonga of the OST, Director Castillo M. Magigad, and Assistant Director Debbie T. Torre. So, ma'ams, sir, kindly please stand by because there might be questions that we guess your agency can respond to. I have received a question from Chris Crismundo of the Philippine News Agency. Her question is, what will happen to the other apps na ginagamit currently ng ibang LGUs? Ilang apps yung masascrap as everyone is expected to use the SPAS? And when should this be implemented? Thank you so much. Secretary Bellica.
I will let Yusek Perez to expound on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Secretary Bellica. The GMC specifically addressed that issue, where all LGUs that have existing travel passes will have to interconnect or integrate into the system. Classic example is that, for instance, the LGU of Baguio. Last December, you know that Baguio has been the subject of destination by travelers. And they requested us for a meeting. And they acknowledged that even if they were implementing their own travel pass, they actually signified their intention to adopt the SPAS because they know that this SPAS is a unified, interoperable that will connect all existing passes, stay safe, trace up, all those travel passes being implemented by government agencies will have to be integrated into the system. And the system will be managed and operated by the system developer, no less than the DOST. Salamat po.
Thank you so much, Yusek Perez. Another question from Ms. Chris Crismundo. Sir, when should this be implemented? When is the effectivity of this JMC, Yusek Perez?
Secretary Bellica, sir?
Go ahead, Yusek.
Okay. Well, like any JMC, it has to be published. It has to be registered with the Office of the National Administrative Register. So 15 days after its publication, it will become effective already. But nothing can stop us from already implementing it because the objective is for all agencies and for all to make this effective. And I think the DOST is ready. As shared with us earlier by Secretary De La Peña, the system is already accepting applications. So we need not wait for the formality. This should already become effective and operable.
Yeah, and I would just want to add, as we all know, this SPAS is already existing.
Yeah.
This is a system that should have been used already by the different LGUs. But we do not want to be too hard with the LGUs because they are also flagged with so many problems, and they're also looking for ways and solutions on how to really get by with this pandemic. It's really a balancing act basically in allowing entrance within the borders of your local government units, but at the same time without restricting commerce, tourism, or even travel. But now what we now have, despite this SPAS has been developed and thankfully so really through the DOST, what we now have is a concentrated effort now for the different local government units to really harmonize our systems together. And nagbunga ho ang sabi nga ni Yusek Perez kanina, labing isang pag-uusap, at ito ho'y pag-uusap na tedious po, and it came from the private sector, public sector. So basically what is happening here, as usual when you talk about streamlining and re-engineering, is we're lining up the different processes and also removing the redundancies, but at the same time without sacrificing the real intention of the different regulations already existing. So talagang it's really extra effort, especially with almost 1,700 LGUs, including the provinces. But now, thankfully, through this JMC, we would be able to harmonize everything. So the question is, kailan ba ho ito mag-implement? Tumatakbo na po yan, yung SPAS po na yan, and but we would be intensifying, of course, through this GMC, the harmonization of all of the policies.
Yes, pa.
Yeah. Secretary Bellica,
yes,
we have here present with us a representative from PTUST, the agency in charge of the implementation of the SPAS. Perhaps you can hear from them.
Yes, ma'am, sir. The floor is now yours po. Sir Rowan.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. As mentioned earlier, Paspas is already fully operational, and as reported by our good secretary, we have already accommodated around 6.1 to 6.2 registered users. Ito na po sila yung gumamit ng Paspas since last year upon the issuance of IATF Resolution number 101. But please take note that Paspas was developed primarily to address yung travel management, particularly outside of your home region. Because essentially the local mobility, particularly in the context of contact tracing, is being handled by staysafe.ph. So yung ating SPAS and interoperability with the StaySafe and other local government unit contact tracing applications will be a work in process. So we're continuing to ensure that if we cannot fully integrate, at least we can interoperate. And we have been doing that also with Vaxer.ph. May mga link tayo sa account ng LGU so that it will be easy for them to check on the integrity of the Vaxer that are being uploaded by the travelers. We are currently working also with the BOQ and the organization in charge of One Health Pass. May mga problems lang doon technically, but I believe there is progress in making sure that there is interoperability if harmonization and integration would not be technically feasible at this stage. Let me also point out that there are certain provisions of our joint memorandum circular that have already been implemented by DOST on our part. Like for example, the 24-hour automatic approval of travel coordination permits is now being implemented by SPAS effective December 16 po ito, in compliance to the wishes of the IATF sub-working group on domestic travel. So pag ating LGUs po ay hindi nakakapag-act within 24 hours on the travel coordination permit, and ARTA has been the one and has been the one that is really pushing for this. Kami nga sa DOST, sabi namin bigyan natin sila ng 48 hours na window, but we really believe in the wisdom of ARTA and the other agencies during the sub-technical working group meeting. Kaya in-implement na po natin ito, and true enough, this has been very crucial during the onslaught of Typhoon Odette. There were several destination LGUs that were not able to act on certain travel permits, and because of this 24-hour feature, hindi po naantala yung biyahe ng ating mga kababayan. So we have also been reaching out to the different LGUs that have not yet updated the travel policies and related information in the respective accounts with SPAS. We are glad to note, as reported also by DOST Secretary Boy de la Peña, that 91% of our targeted LGUs have already activated and using their SPAS account. And with this issuance of the joint memorandum circular, mas mapapadali po natin yung coordination with the remaining LGUs who are not yet using SPAS. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Director Rowan. Dr. Eric Tayag, do you have anything to add?
Good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations to everyone for this important milestone. The Department of Health has now a response when the public will access the 1555, and if they have questions for the procedures, rules on domestic travel, it will be easier for the Department of Health to tell them that use SPAS. And so therefore, we are going to support the advocacy and promotion of SPAS through our hotline so that the public will be instructed how to go about it, and we are going to work with the agencies, especially ARTA, DILG, DOST, and the Department of Transportation. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eric Tayag from the Department of Health. There is a follow-up question from Mr. Warren de Guzman of ABS-CBN. His question is, how long will it take to achieve nationwide implementation? Yusek Nes, do you want to respond to this, or Director
I will
Rowan?
defer to the DOST, which is the agency primarily responsible for the implementation, and ARTA will just support.
Yes, sir. Director Rowan?
Yes.
Yes, the system is, as mentioned, operational.
Again, the
We are
question of
only-
Sir Warren de Guzman.
Yes, sorry, the system is fully operational. We are just waiting for, I think, around 11, if I am not mistaken, LGUs. And with the help of ARTA and of course the LG, hopefully before the end of this month, they can activate their accounts already with SPAS. No? Kukunti na lang, 9% of the LGUs are targeted to be enrolled in the system. And I think, again, as mentioned, with the issuance of this joint memorandum circular, we now have the basis, the legal basis for, fast-tracking our coordination with them. Thank you.
Secretary Bellica, thank you so much, Director Rowan. Secretary Bellica, Yusek Nes, one of the key features of this JMC is the 24-hour period to process the permit application. And what happens now if the local traveler is not able to receive the permit that he needs to secure to be able to enter an LGU? What does he or she needs to present?
Sir, if I may,
into the LGU to be able to enter?
Sige, go ahead, Yusek Nes.
The JMC specifically addresses that issue. Consistent with the Republic Act 11032, the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Delivery Government Services Law, a specific provision provides for an automatic approval. Once all the documents have been submitted and fees have been paid, the agency is required to process it within the standard processing time. Now, specifically to this initiative, the JMC on travel, it provides that once an applicant has submitted his application complete with all the travel documents as required by the point of destination, that LGU has 24 hours to process it. Kasi yung application is time-based. Merong date or time of receipt of the application. So if the LGU fails to process that, meaning approve or disapprove within the 24-hour period, the system will provide for an automatic approval of that travel pass application. And the applicant will only have to print or show that to the point of destination, and even though dun sa mga LGUs that they will be passing through, that S-Pass that is produced by the system developed by the DOST.
Yeah, Ria.
I think si DOST is also
Yes,
this sector.
Yeah, if I may lang, no? This automatic approval provision is really very critical for all of us who have experienced. Yusek Nes shared some of his colorful experience last year. And I think many of us, if not all of us, had our own shares of stories. That's why the 24-hour automatic approval is very important. Now, this agreement has already been entered upon by the different government agencies and also well studied, consulted upon by the private sector, as well as the representatives of the local government units. Needless to say, na ayos na yan, napag-aralan na yan, saka napagkasunduan na yan. Ngayon, kung pagkakatagalin niyo pa ho yan for no apparent reason or for any bureaucratic process, then if it would really be deliberate at makita natin na widespread at tahasa yung ginagawa ho nila dyan na delay, then that agency or office or local government office would need to be investigated upon. Bakit tumatagal yan? Meron na tayong automatic approval provision dito na inilabas mismo na sistema natin at meron na national policy dito. Again, remember, I started my talk kanina about establishing the importance of our right to travel. And this is, amidst of the pandemic, of the national crisis right now, or international crisis right now, we just really need to safeguard and ensure that the people are not exposed to dangers of the pandemic. Ngayon, kung okay na naman, di ba kasi sa iba't ibang mga proseso, meron ka na naman mga requirements. And then, hindi na to dapat patagalin at mahirapan. So yun lang ho ang aming pakiusap sa lahat sa mga local government units na nakikinig sa atin ngayon. Ano po? Kinakailangan po natin na magtulungan dito dahil makakabenepisyo din po sa bawat isa sa atin, no, ang padaliin at paalwanin ang proseso po ng pagbiyahe, whether pass-through po yan or kayo po ang point of destination. Ano po, pagka pinahirapan, the answer is titingnan ho natin, and ARTA will be committed. Of course, the ILG is also there. We are committed to really investigate if needed. Now, kung meron silang violation under the local government code or even other existing laws, that could have been violated.
And since you already brought it up, Mr. Warren de Guzman is also asking the penalties that could be imposed on LGUs who will be deliberately not comply with the JMC.
Well, thank you, Warren, again for that great questions. You know, the local government code is actually very express naman dyan sa mga provisions na yan na sinasabi, and even the code of conduct ng mga government officials, no, it could be taken, tingnan ho yan kung yan po ay nagkakaroon ng yung gross misconduct, kung nagkakaroon din po yan, and also kung ito po ay meron pong gross negligence na ginagawa po, no, on the ground. So malinaw ho yan, meron ho yan mga provisions po tayo na pwede pong magamit dyan, and hindi lamang po ito for the first time na gagamitin these provisions, and there are other instances wherein for the failure of government agencies and the LGUs to abide by the streamlining initiatives of the government, especially those which are directed by the President, na nagkakaroon po ng investigation based on these provisions of the local government code. But again, Warren, hopefully hindi na tayo umabot doon. Hopefully that everyone just para sa atin lahat po ito, no? And I think Sir Rowen would want to say something in behalf of the OST on this.
Yes, Director Rowen.
Yes, good afternoon, ASEC, USEC. As I have mentioned earlier, this feature po ay operational na, no? Since December 16. If the LGU fails to act on the application of the traveler, the SPAS system issues the travel coordination permit automatically. So matatanggap yan ng ating mga traveler is the same travel coordination permit that is being acted upon by the LGUs manually, or not manually but that are being processed by the LGUs. Ito, pag hindi sila nakapag-act within 24 hours, the same travel coordination permit will be issued to the travelers. May notation lang yan na this travel coordination permit has been issued automatically by the LGU, by the system, because the processing time has already exceeded 24 hours. No? So we don't expect any problems with regards to this one because automatic na po yung ating pag-generate ng travel coordination permit. This is only in the case of local government units that require travel coordination permits prior to your travel. Yung mga tinamang mga LGUs na medyo open na yung kanilang borders for travel, they do not require anymore a travel coordination permit. No? You can just self-generate. Automatically also, the system is the one that generates a travel pass-through permit para na po ipakita ng ating mga kababayan doon sa mga LGUs na humihingi po ng travel documents when passing through their area of jurisdiction. No? So, yung maganda po dito sa ating SPAS is that responsive po ito and flexible. So the moment the LGU has already more or less normal operations, open na yung border niya, you can use SPAS to just come up with a TPP. Pag medyo humigpit po tayo because of the COVID-19 situation, again, the LGU can use the SPAS to elevate its travel restriction policies. No? So, masyado po itong agile. This is responsive to the situation on the ground. No? At yung ating mga LGUs can really benefit in terms of using this system.
And last question, it's still for Director Rowan. Sir, may we ask which LGUs are not yet complying with the use of the SPAS and the interoperability of contact tracing? You mentioned earlier there were about 9 LGUs, sir.
I don't have the full listing of the LGUs. Very few na lang ito, and mostly these are LGUs that have their own system. So, yung sabi naman namin, we are not competing with their system. Kasi sometimes our local government units have this notion that SPAS is primarily a contact tracing system. But we have been telling them that SPAS is not primarily a local contact tracing system. It is really more of a travel management system that should be used by our travelers in going to your provinces or your regions. And it is intended to really complement what you have on the ground. Although tama din yung perspective ng DILG, SPAS can be considered as a primary contact tracing kasi yung problema ng ating mga local contact tracing system, they cannot monitor yung movement from Manila, for example, going to Bacolod or going to Cebu. Yung Stay Safe kasi, magagamit mo siya as local contact tracing pag andun na yung traveler mo sa community, pag umiikot siya doon. But it will not give you an indication that this traveler actually came from Manila or came from Cebu or came from somewhere else. Kaya talagang iba yung layer of operation ng ating SPAS. It is intended to monitor inter-regional travel. And if we can have interoperability with our local contact tracing application, medyo seamless po yung ating pag-handle ng movement ng ating mga kababayan. So it is a challenge yung pag-interoperate or pag-integrate ng system. But I think with this joint memorandum circular, this makes our work so much easier. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, Sir Rowan Gilonga of the OST. Of course, Dr. Eric Tayag. Sir, you're saying something, Dr. Eric Tayag? Kindly please unmute, sir.
Thank you, Ria. Can I add something to the conversation?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. And we have to reiterate the call of Secretary Belhica regarding this because it's very important to note for the local government units that if there are repeated failures, for example, to actually provide the required response to the SPAS application of any individual, this will actually put a problem on the risk assessment, especially if there are restrictions in a particular jurisdiction. Ang mangyayari po kasi dito pag parating automatic po yan, so malalagay po sa alanganin yung local government unit at mag-aakala sila na okay lang na nabigyan ng approval yon. Kung sinipat pala nila ng gusto, maaring na hindi nila nabigyan. At dahil sa makakalusot, so yan ay magkakaroon ng risk o panganib sa kanilang response para hindi po kumalat yung COVID, lalo na may Omicron tayo. Kaya sumasang-ayon ako na kailangan talaga ang local government unit, lalo na gagamitin na yung SPAS, ay iwasan na merong automatic approval hanggat maaari. Over here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eric Tayag. And thank you so much, of course, Secretary Jeremiah Bellica and Undersecretary Ernesto V. Perez. Sir, you want to add something, sir? Sec Bellica?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone again, and I want to thank you, Secnes, for the hard work and the entire team. They really did a great job. Director Rowan and the entire team, Director Tayag. So marami pa ho tayong mga kinakailangan pong ayusin. And wag ho natin sayangin ang atin hong mga challenging experiences. Ipagbigay alam niyo po sa amin, sa mga ahensya, sa ARTA po, para kami po ay makatulong para mahanapan po natin na mas mabilis at madali pong solusyon. Gusto ko lang sabihin, again, as mentioned by Director Tayag a while ago, the periods that are being given to us by law and through policies are periods for us to act on applications because it depends on the urgency of these applications. We're not saying that all applications should are already automatically approved. It will be if within the period of time you don't act on it. Kaya nga ho, ulitin ko yung sinasabi na kung ito po ay pabor din po sa mga government agencies o sa mga local government units na actionan po agad ang mga applications because sad to say, marami hong nakakarating din ho ng mga naging report po in the past, no? Na hindi ho makontakt yung mga local offices, yung mga kailangan ng tawagan. And sometimes tumitigil pa, no? Pagdating ho ng alas 5 at nag-aantay ang tao, hindi mo naman masabi yan kapag ikaw ay nagpa-reserve na ng iyong mga tutulugan, ng iyong sasakyan and all of those things. So, but with this streamlined and automated system, I do believe that we will have a more responsive system. Is this a perfect system already? It is evolving. It is an organism. We're learning as we go, but I think we have achieved something that will be holistic enough, no, to address the common pains of each and every travelers. So again, thank you very much for everyone who supported and also our private sector representatives.
Again, thank you so much and congratulations to all the agencies who gave in all their best to produce this new joint memorandum circular for local travel. Congratulations, everyone. And that ends our open forum. We may have come to the end of today's program, but of course know that as what Secretary mentioned, this is just the beginning. Marami pa tayong gagawin. And the JMC itself will be surely an evolving document depending on the situation. We will review that as we go along. And to formally close this event, we have our Undersecretary for Administration, Finance, and Special Program, Yusek Carlos Kita, to deliver his message. Sir?
Thank you, Ms. Rhea. Before we close this launch ceremony, allow me on behalf of the Anti-Red Tape Authority and its partners in public service to say thank you to all the agencies, groups, and individuals who have made the local travel JMC possible. The gracing of this important event by the top management of our partner agencies and groups, coupled with our common intent to realize the objectives of the JMC, more particularly in serving the general public, underscore the compelling need to seriously implement this JMC. We therefore hope that with the full implementation and institutionalization of the Paspas and an interoperable contact tracing application in all local government units and ports, and through the integration of relevant information systems in the COVID-19 response network, the various stakeholders and the general public will truly benefit from this initiative. Finally, may I close this activity with a quote. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. Thank you and have a pleasant day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Yusek Carlos F. Kita, ARTA's Deputy Director General for Finance Administration and Special Programs. for doing the closing remarks. And this has been your host, Ria Fernandez Ubina, from the Public Relations Unit of the Anti-Red Tape Authority. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng nakiisa dito sa ceremonial signing ng JMC Travel No. 1 Series of 2022 entitled Streamlining of Requirements and Processes for Local Travel. To stay updated with the latest happenings from the authority at para mabalikan din nyo kung ano nangyari sa hapong ito, kindly get in touch with us through these various social media platforms, our website www.arta.gov.ph, Facebook Anti-Red Tape Authority, as well as YouTube. Of course, we have TikTok na at Anti-Red Tape Authority, Twitter and Instagram at ARTA.gov.ph, and here are our email addresses: at arta.gov.ph, and if it's complaint in nature, complaints at arta.gov.ph. You can also join our growing Viber community by scanning this QR code. Maraming salamat po at magkita-kita po tayo sa susunod pang mga JMC signing and other events of the Anti-Red Tape Authority. God bless us all.
Sa bulok ng sistema, walang asenso. Huwag ka nang makupad na sa'yo ang pagbabago. Limutin na masasamang halimbawa. Diskateng panis, itapon na. Magsilbisyo ng tama, huwag masilaw sa pera sa gobyerno. Dapat buo ang ating tiwala. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Trabaho at papeles, huwag nang ipabukas. Wakasan ng rete patlagayan. Sundin ang batas, bilisan ng kilos, gaganda ang bukas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Kabilis ng takbo ng ating mundo, makunat ng buto. Bumangon na tayo sa bulok ng sistema, walang asenso. Huwag ka nang makupat na sa'yo ang pagbabago. Limutin mo na masasamang halimbawa. Diskateng panis, itapon na. Magserbisyo ng tama, huwag masilaw sa pera sa gobyerno. Dapat buo ang ating hiwala. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Trabaho at papeles, huwag nang ipabukas. Wakasan ng red tape at kagayan. Sundin ang batas, bilisan ng kilos, gaganda ang bukas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Sama-sama tayo ay aabot. Dumating na ang tamang panahon. Matamis na bunga sa mabilis na aksyon. May buwelo na, huwag sayangin ang pagkakataon. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Trabaho at papeles, huwag nang ipabukas. Wakasan ng red tape at lagayan. Sundin ang batas, bilisan ng kilos, gaganda ang bukas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas. Paspas Pilipinas, paspas Pilipinas, paspas.
Smarter initiatives, better Philippines.